Hello, my beautiful friends. Welcome to a new video. If you're new here, I'm Maria and I'll be your Spanish teacher for today. Have you ever been in a foreign country and maybe you know a little bit of the language and you want to practice, so you try speaking to the locals with what you have and then find yourself making mistakes or people looking funny at you? I find awesome that we do this because when learning a new language, we need to practice as much as we can, even if that implies saying embarrassing things once in a while to native speakers. But that's how we learn, making mistakes. It applies to all in life. So it happened to me too when I was learning English. I was hanging out with some American guys, and back then my English level was intermediate, I would say. This was a few years ago. Anyway, there is this phrase that I'm sure every person who has studied English as a second language has encountered with. I was actually taught this phrase in high school, and I'm pretty sure I saw it in a textbook somewhere. So the phrase I used was, "It was raining cats and dogs." One of the guys literally laughed at me and said, "Nobody says that." So maybe not the best way to call out on someone's mistake, but at least I learned and never used it again. We're going to inevitably make mistakes when learning a new language. It's part of it, but hopefully this video will help you avoid some of those. No bueno. I hear this one a lot. Even though I can understand what you're trying to say, this makes no sense in Spanish grammatically. If you want to express something that's not good, you can either say, "No está bien." For example, "Me robé esto." Eso no está bien. Or, "No es bueno." Oye, ¿qué tal el restaurante nuevo? No es bueno. ¿Puedo tener? When ordering something at a restaurant in English, you say, for example, "Can I have a glass of water?" And it's very common for English speakers to translate literal when learning Spanish. So you end up speaking English in Spanish. And you say something like, "¿Puedo tener un vaso de agua?" The wording is correct, but the waiter or waitress will probably understand what you're trying to say, but it's not correct and it's not the way you're going to hear a native saying it. So instead you can say, "Me das o me da," for the formal form, "un vaso de agua, por favor." Can I have a glass of water, please? "Me traes or me trae," for the formal form, "un café, por favor." Traer means to bring, so it would be like, "Can you bring me some coffee, please?" Now in this context, we use the informal way when we're talking to someone who looks our age, and we use the formal way when we're talking to somebody who looks older than us. Sobre de. I think I know where this confusion may come from. About in English can mean either sobre, acerca de, or just de. For example, quiero hablarte sobre algo, quiero hablarte acerca de algo, y quiero hablarte de algo. They all mean I want to talk to you about something. So I think this sobre de may come from a mix-up of that. No problemo. I hear this one quite often too. I think it might be the same literal translation thing we were talking about before. Like, no problem, you add an O and it becomes Spanish. Unfortunately, it doesn't work like that. So first of all, the word problema ends with an A, with an A. Problemo does not exist. Second of all, you need to add the verb haber to the mix. Haber means to have, and it's used mostly in impersonal sentences to indicate there is or there are something, or not. So if you want to say no problem in Spanish, you can say no hay problema. This translates to there is no problem. Pedir por. I think this one comes from the fact that you say to ask for in English. You add por in Spanish because you say for in English, but it's not necessary. Just the word pedir means to ask for. So you can say to your friends, "Voy a pedir la comida y no voy a pedir por la comida." I'm going to order the food. Or in this context, you can just say, "Voy a ordenar la comida." Though I think ordenar sounds kind of formal. Buscar por. This is the same confusion as in the previous example because buscar is to look for. You don't need to add por to say you want to look for something. Just the word buscar will do. For example, voy a buscar un restaurante cerca. No voy a buscar por un restaurante cerca. I'm going to look for a restaurant nearby. Estoy caliente. So in English, when the temperature is high, you say I'm hot, I need some water. But in Spanish, we use the verb tener to express this. Tengo calor, necesito agua. Estoy caliente means something else. Remember this when you also need to express you're cold. Don't say soy frío, or you would be saying you're a cold person. Or estoy frío, then you would be saying you're literally cold, like your body. I mean, you would technically be if you're cold, but anyways, the correct way to say this is tengo frío. Largo o larga does not mean large. Don't say mi casa es larga if you want to say your house is large. You must say mi casa es grande. Largo o larga mean long. Tu cabello es muy largo. Your hair is very long. Esta ciudad es grande. This city is large. Vaso de vino. In English, you would say a glass of wine. However, even though glass does mean vaso, when you're asking for a glass of wine in the Spanish-speaking world, you want to ask for una copa de vino, por favor. Esto es una copa. Vino rojo. If you're asked if you prefer white or red wine, don't say rojo, which is how we say red in Spanish, but we call red wine vino tinto. Embarazada. I know this sounds like the word embarrassed, but if you find yourself feeling this way, never say you are embarazada or embarazado because you would be saying you're pregnant. Instead, you can say me da vergüenza, which translates to it gives me shame, or you can also say estoy avergonzado o avergonzada, which does mean I'm embarrassed. Molestar. This one works the other way around, but I thought it would be worth mentioning this following the same line. I know how this verb sounds in English, but in Spanish it means to bother or to annoy. Chulo. In some Spanish-speaking countries, you're going to find people using this word to say something is nice or pretty, but in others, chulo is a pimp. So you may want to avoid saying this word to not take the risk. You can use neutral ones like bonito or lindo, etc. Avoid translations in general. My recommendation to all my students is to avoid translating everything. I guess it's normal at the beginning, but always take into account that English and Spanish are two completely different languages with different structure. Therefore, translating literally can and will lead you to make mistakes. So when learning Spanish, try to think in Spanish. Don't wonder, why is it like this? This makes no sense. Something probably won't make sense in English, but it will do in Spanish. And that's it for today's video. Those were all the things you shouldn't say in Spanish that I had for you today. I know there are much more. Tell me in the comments if you had an experience with this or with other words or phrases. I would love to know. Thank you so much for watching our content, and I hope you find this video useful. If you did, don't forget to smash that thumbs up button, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss all the super useful and fun videos that me and my team are going to be working on. Ciao!